Joining us now is David Hearst. He's the editor of the Middle East Eye, live with us from London. Very good to have you with us, David. So how do you see this threat by the senator in the US, Senator Corker, not to go ahead with arms sales to the region, affecting diplomatic efforts to resolve this crisis?
Well, I think this is a shot across the bows, certainly of Saudi Arabia, but also the Emirates. And I think it's a very, very important statement, coupled with the statement of the German foreign minister. It's pushback, but it doesn't necessarily reflect the wishes of the Donald Trump administration. Like everything that's happening in America, it's turned foreign policy into a huge freewheeling debate. There isn't one policy here. Certainly, Corker represents the fears of representing the fears of the Pentagon and the military, and also the American deep state and the State Department, which basically is warning very sensibly of a fundamental split in the GCC.
But this would also affect Qatar, because they also have arms deals with the US, not just the 3 GCC countries who are imposing a ban on Qatar right now.
Yes, it would also affect Qatar, but proportionately, it's much more important for Saudi Arabia and particularly, personally, Mohammed bin Salman, who is still in charge, as your correspondent said, of the campaign in Yemen, and is very, very dependent on American resupplies, particularly of precision-guided weapons.
You mentioned also, David, the German foreign minister's comments describing the demands made to Qatar as provocative. Where does that leave, those demands and whether or not they can be taken seriously? Where does this leave the Saudi-UAE alliance? They seem to be increasingly under pressure from the international community. Yes,
well, the message basically isn't getting through, or their message that they want, that they're fighting terrorism, isn't getting through. And it's significant. I think international opinion actually is significant. International law isn't, but international opinion is. And if you read the editorials of the Washington Post, of the New York Times, they don't buy this. In fact, no one is buying this. They're saying this is an attack on freedom of expression and an independent media. Where the bottom line is, I simply don't know. I have a feeling that what we're going through is a large period of instability. I think this is a big chessboard that Trump and his associates are playing on. There are other moves on the chessboard, like, for instance, the siege of Gaza, which are now increasingly important. I think what's happening to Qatar is also linked to what's happening at the moment with Gaza. And we're in for a very long period of instability. So
you don't think anything is going to happen after this 10-day deadline passes? Qatar has said it's considering the demands out of respect to the Kuwaiti mediators. But what's going to happen after the deadline passes, you think?
I've got no idea. I don't think Qatar is going to roll over.
Right.
I'm not sure whether it can make a counter-offer, because these are maximalist offers. It's like the closing down of the whole of Al Jazeera, not just as happened in 2014, Al Jazeera, Egypt, Mubashir. So I don't see, and it would be a total change of Qatari foreign policy. I don't see how they could negotiate on this. However, I have a feeling that there'll be other moves behind the scenes that will try and get the two sides together. But what we're basically facing at the moment is a power play by Saudi Arabia and the Emirates to fundamentally control the region. And there's a lot of pushback to that.
Thank you very much, David. As always, good to hear your thoughts on this. David Hearst, editor-in-chief of the Middle East Eye, joining us there from London.